What's up and welcome back. Today we have a ton of information to go over with Guerrilla Games' new job postings and what that could mean for future projects. We also are going over a Firesprite acquisition and a game that Fabric Games that they have acquired is working on. We'll also be talking about a Spider-Man 2 / Wolverine update. We're talking about TGS, some PS5 exclusive updates from that, and we'll be talking about a big discussion that's coming up with Jim Ryan and Haven Studios. Now let's start off with Guerrilla Games and some job postings that have gone up. So they posted for a senior social systems designer position, which is looking for applicants with a passion for player communities and social features who can explore creative ways players can connect with others in-game. The successful applicant can expect to engage players in social interactions to create lasting relationships, and where compatible players can create guild-like groups to explore together. The listing adds, you will work within a core team of multiple designers focused on social systems and player engagements, and take charge to ensure quality feature delivery. Another job posting for a senior game writer, which may or may not be related to the same project, is seeking an individual with extensive knowledge of stories and narrative design in open world RPG games, online games, and MMORPGs to create mission, quest writing, and narrative design. Now, another interesting point, and this comes from VGC, they say VGC understands that the studio has long planned to expand Horizon into multiplayer, although officially it said that upcoming sequel Forbidden West will not contain such a feature. Sources had previously told VGC that co-op was initially planned for the first Horizon game, but was ultimately scrapped so the development team could focus on other areas of the title. Also to note, Zero Dawn concept art that leaked online in 2014 even shows initial plans to have multiple players battle the game's huge mechanical beasts in a scenario similar to Capcom's Monster Hunter games. Sources said that Sony had been keen to include co-op in the game's sequel, Forbidden West, but Guerrilla decided to save the feature for a future project, which they believed would either be a standalone online spin-off or Horizon 3. If it's the former, progress will likely carry to the next Horizon game, we were told. So a lot of information there that, to a degree is a rumor, but VGC is saying they've confirmed that. So there's another very interesting point here, and that's in 2018, the PlayStation Studio rehired game director Simon LaRouche to work on an unannounced title, which is potentially related to this week's job posting. The designer has huge experience with multiplayer games, having directed Ubisoft's popular esports shooter Rainbow Six Siege, as well as online modes for Guardians of the Galaxy, Splinter Cell, Blacklist, and Killzone 2. So there's a lot here, right? So we know that there's one other game in the works. We know that there's job listings for something that's almost coming off like a straight up MMO or online game. Definitely kind of like a shared world type of thing. What that could be, whether it's Horizon, whether it's a new IP, whether it's Killzone, who knows? It's hard to say. I do imagine that they're going to do some sort of Horizon type of multiplayer, and it makes sense because they have been planning to do that. So I think that's likely the route they go, but for all we know, it could be something totally different as well. Now, next up, I want to talk to you guys about Firesprite, and they have acquired Fabric Games. So on Wednesday, Firesprite announced it had purchased Manchester-based Fabric, bringing the studio's headcount to 265 people. Fabric was founded by Firesprite's MD, Graham Ankers, in 2014, and the two studios most recently collaborated on multi-platform survival horror game The Persistence. Prior to that, Fabric developed The Lost Bear for PlayStation VR and Oculus Rift. So first question will pop up like, what could they possibly be working on? Well, there's some information out here that could give us some details on this, and this comes from Reddit, where it says Fabric Games Firesprite's new team is looking for a new lead artist to work on a new AAA sci-fi horror title exclusively to Sony, which makes sense because they're owned by Firesprite, which Firesprite is owned by Sony. So interesting point with this job posting, says Fabric Games is looking for a lead artist to work on a AAA sci-fi horror title. Please contact jobs@fabricgames.com for more information. So this could be very interesting. I wonder what this could be. Not much information to share outside of that. Now on to our next topic, and this is all about Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine. Very small bits of information here, but this comes from Eurogamer.net. So speaking on the latest This Week in Marvel podcast, the comic maker's creative vice president, Bill Roseman, briefly discussed Insomniac's current slate of projects, in quotes. If the first Spider-Man game was Star Wars, Spider-Man 2 is kind of our empire, Roseman said. It gets a little darker, and with Venom, obviously that's kind of the expectation. I think it's going to take a nice turn from the experience we got with Spider-Man 1 and obviously Miles Morales, where it wasn't as dark. I'm really looking forward to seeing where this goes when they say darker. Now, when it came to Wolverine, they said, we will eventually reveal when Wolverine is aimed to launch, Roseman continued. For more, go back and study those trailers. They are packed with details and Easter eggs. Now, this is probably a non-answer in a sense, kind of, because like they're obviously not going to just say, hey, by the way, this is coming out this year, but it's interesting to see that they have put a lot of thought and detail into this trailer, and I'm sure this small teaser trailer is going to reveal quite a lot of information, and we'll probably find even more info that we didn't catch once we learn more about the game. Nonetheless, super excited for what they do with Wolverine, as it's very different from Spider-Man. Now, on to our next topic, and this is all about TGS, Square Enix. What's going on there? There's so much good stuff coming up. I've always said it, that TGS, especially when it comes to Square Enix, is really a PlayStation-centric show in a lot of ways, because they show off a lot of games that in a lot of cases are only coming to PlayStation. Just TGS in general, as the Japanese support on PlayStation is much greater than, say, on Xbox, and even for Nintendo, it's greater than any other platform as well. But on Friday, October 1st, we're looking at a Square Enix presentation. Then we got a Square Enix Music Special Live. Then Forspoken, which is a PS5 exclusive. I believe it's coming to PC eventually. But those are going to be the things that happen on Friday. On October 2nd, on the Saturday, we're getting Marvel's Guardian. Of course, guys, we need more of that. Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. Saga Series Special Live Stream, Stranger of Paradise, Final Fantasy Origin, which is another big title, Square Enix Jazz Live Painting, which is interesting. October 3rd, we're getting the Final Fantasy trading card game, Chocobo GP, Voice of Cards, The Isle of Dragon Roars, and Final Fantasy VII, The First Soldier live stream. Now, I think the biggest thing here is the Square Enix presentation. We're hoping that we see Final Fantasy 16. We're hoping that we see 7 Remake Part 2. Will either of those be there? Probably not. But one can hope that we do see them. Now, the other thing is, too, we got that NVIDIA leak, which said Final Fantasy 9 Remake. So it could be interesting if we see that there. But again, I highly doubt that that's going to be the case. I think any big Final Fantasy announcements are going to come straight at Sony presentations, just because they do have an agreement amongst many of their Final Fantasy titles, and obviously Forspoken as well, even though that will be here. But I guess that's not an initial reveal, so there's that as well. Now, lastly, I want to talk to you guys about this whole Fireside chat thing that's happening. So Jim Ryan's going to be there, and we're going to have Haven Studios' Jade Raymond as well, who's going to discuss basically how they managed to put the studio together during the pandemic and how Sony helped them with that as well. And obviously, this Jim Ryan thing is going to be pretty big, as they're going to be talking about PlayStation's future and kind of the path that they're going to be taking here, as well as talking about the past as well. Not much else to really add to that. I guess that's really it. I mean, we'll see what happens. I don't think it's going to be anything super substantial that's going to get revealed, but I think it'll give us some insight into what Sony's plans are. But that's all I have for you guys in today's video. Please let me know what you thought of all these things in the comments. There's a ton of information here. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the possible Guerrilla games that are up and coming, what Fire Sprite could possibly be working on, what Fabric Games could possibly be working on, your thoughts on Spider-Man 2 being darker, Wolverine, when we could possibly get that, TGS, what we're looking at for that, and what could be revealed at this Fireside chat with Jim Ryan and Jade Raymond. As always, if you have not subscribed already, please hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell to get notified about all my upcoming videos, and hit the like button. It helps the channel a ton. You can follow me on Twitter and Twitch. Links will be in the description, and share this video with a friend. I will talk to you all on the next one. Take care.